Is running your own online photography print store actually worth it? That's what I'm going to answer in this video. A year on from launching my print store, I have learned an awful lot. Some of it's been good, but some of it has been really quite surprisingly hard. Today, I'm sharing all of that with you, including the sales numbers, the biggest lessons I've learned, and whether or not I'd do it all again, as well as how I've redesigned my workspace to make running a print store easier and having a much more inspiring work environment. So why did I start a print store in the first place? Well, for a photographer that makes images like I do, mainly outdoor images of landscapes, the natural world, architecture, random shit, whatever else, having a print store seems like the natural next progression. In all honesty, it's probably a little bit of an ego massage as well. It's great knowing that people want to pay you for a print that they can put on their own wall, and the idea of having my images on people's walls feels nice to me. I also wanted to buy my own printer for home so I could make images myself, give them as gifts to friends, put them on my own wall, and just print out my work, because seeing your photography printed is so much better than seeing it on a screen. And starting up a print store was kind of a way of funding having that printer. So how did it go in that first year? Well, honestly, not that good. I sold 14 prints in total over the course of an entire year. That was not what I expected. In my head, that's how many I was going to sell on the launch weekend. I have sold so little in terms of print volume, and that's been quite difficult to accept. But I want to be completely open on this, because there's no use in me starting a video and telling you I've sold loads and loads of prints, because videos like that, I think, set unrealistic expectations. A bit like the ones I had. This is hard. Selling prints is difficult, but I think I know why that is, which I'll come back to shortly. I'll admit that over the last year, I completely lost interest. I stopped changing the prints on my website. I wasn't marketing the prints, and as it turns out, marketing is quite important when it comes to selling photography prints. I even got to the point where I completely removed the print store from my website. I was having some printer issues at home, and the prints were coming out a completely different color to what I expected, and it took me weeks and weeks and weeks to solve this issue. Taking them off felt like a bit of a relief, and I really wanted to just stop. I was having some other issues as well with the workspace I was working in, because I just felt completely uninspired, and the idea of having to spend more time here working on the print store, fulfilling orders, just wasn't what I wanted to do. Until recently, my workspace just didn't really feel like me. It was a bit clinical, uninspiring, and as such, a total mess that I couldn't really be bothered to sort out. And for someone like me that loves being outdoors, it didn't really reflect the kind of environment that I'd actually get excited about working in. So when I decided to rethink my setup, I wanted to go for something warmer and more natural, and almost try and bring the feeling of the outside inside. And that's why I chose this new furniture from Vernal, who have kindly sponsored this video. My desk, chair, drawer unit, and printer cabinet are all from Vernal. And what I love about it is how cohesive and modular it feels. Everything's designed to help you focus, create, and get in the zone, but it still feels personal to me. The desk sizes range from 120 to 200 centimeters and come in a number of different styles to suit every workspace. I went for the 150 by 75 solid wood standing desk in dark walnut. It gives me a big, sturdy surface for my work and print projects, with a warm, natural finish that just feels more me than my old white clinical desk did. And I love the fact that this is a standing desk. Pretty much all of us spend most of the day sitting, and as I get older, I can tell what a physical impact this is having on me. Not anymore. Even at full standing height, this desk is rock solid. It's got smart features like memory presets for desk heights, child lock, which is invaluable to me, and a redesigned keypad that's simple and intuitive. My printer now lives on the matching walnut side cabinet, which ties everything together and keeps the space tidy. Assembly was really easy too, and everything comes with pre-installed nuts, which saves me loads of time. The best part is Vernal offers loads of sizes and colours so that you can create a workspace unique to you. Right now, desk prices start at £379, and if you use my discount code on screen or click the link below, you'll get an extra 6% off and be in a chance of winning up to £500 worth of rewards. If your workspace isn't inspiring you, maybe it's time for a change. Honestly, the biggest surprise has been the total lack of orders. I didn't expect loads, I just expected a few more than there was. And I've been trying to work out why that is. When I did the video a year ago about starting my print store, a lot of people put some really helpful comments about selling prints. And I've been paying attention to these. And I think the reasons for my lack of orders are as follows. Basically, photography prints are quite hard to sell. Not that many people are interested in them, particularly in the UK. Generally speaking as well, people have less money to spend on things like prints. Shit is expensive in Britain at the moment, and my prints probably aren't at the top of people's wish lists. Then there's audience size. I've not got the biggest audience or the biggest email list or anything like that, so the amount of people that are actually going to see and find my prints to potentially buy is quite limited. Something I have worked out is that people need to have a connection with things, generally speaking, to want to buy a print of it. Whether that be a photo of somewhere they've been before or somewhere they used to live, maybe even a connection to me and wanting to support my work. Connection is key to the decision of whether or not someone's going to buy a print, and I don't think a lot of my work lends itself to that. And I guess that requires a bit of balance from my end. Do I put half of the stuff that I'd love people to want to buy because it's meaningful to me, and half of it is stuff that people are more likely to connect to, like the phone box picture from London that I printed recently that is one of my best sellers. Perhaps in hindsight, my work actually would lend itself better to being in a zine or a book, and I think people probably are more likely to want to buy something like that because I think there's probably more value for money in a book. You're getting to see probably well over 100 images from a photographer for less than the price of a print. Then there's the options. Would I have more chance of selling prints if I offered framed prints or canvases or stuff like that? And I'll talk about why I don't do that shortly. And then there's the marketing side of things that I alluded to earlier. Imagine you're stood in the middle of a village square at 2 in the morning. No one knows you're there. They're all asleep. But if you start shouting a lot, people will be aware of you.
It'd probably also be really quite annoying, but people would be aware.
And it's like that with marketing. If you don't talk about your prints, no one knows they exist. No one tends to just happen across your website and find that you're selling a print and buy it. That just doesn't happen. All of my sales have come in response, generally speaking, to emails I've sent out. You have to be constantly marketing these things to be able to sell them, and I'm just not sure that I want to constantly be marketing them. I never came into this as a way to make loads of money, but if you do want to make money through it, you have to constantly be marketing it. But all of this is okay. Like, it's not made or broken my business, and I never expected it to. But I think it's useful for other people to know this and position their expectations from what they're doing accordingly. And I think a lot of my work is good enough to be on a print, but there are times where you question that. I would love to get your thoughts in the comments below about this, because this is really what the whole thing revolves around. If you're going to set up a print store, you want to sell prints. And if you're not going to sell many prints, you kind of wonder what the point is. What were the biggest mistakes I made? Well, I'd say the first one was the time investment. The amount of time I've put into this has been, quite frankly, ridiculous. Not just from a setup point of view, but all the time in trying to fix my printer, get that sorted. The issue was basically a Lightroom software issue where if you clicked print, it would change the paper setting without you realizing. So it would print as if it was printing onto glossy paper. You had to click printer options and make sure the printer was set to matte paper. For some reason, Lightroom was overriding the settings I was already putting in, which was really frustrating and impossible to get to the bottom of. I did operating system reinstalls, driver reinstalls, everything. It was so frustrating. But yeah, that took me so much time. Another thing that took a load of time is packaging the prints. I'd estimate it takes me, for an A3 print, up to an hour to get it printed out, packaged and posted. That's a lot of time just on one print. And honestly, if I got more orders than I did, I'm not actually sure how I'd have been able to fulfill them all. But despite all the negativity, what worked well? Because some stuff did work well. Firstly, I'm delighted to have sold prints, generally speaking. Like, my prints have gone around the world. They've gone to New Zealand, they've gone to Australia, they've gone to America, they've gone to Canada, they've gone to Europe. They're global. And that's such an awesome feeling that there's people around the world that are willing to support me and my work. And I'm really grateful to everyone and anyone that's bought a print from me. I'm really happy with the paper that I use as well. I use PhotoSpeed for all my paper, in particular their NST Bright White, which is a sort of lightly textured paper that I really like. I just want to give a shout out to PhotoSpeed's technical assistance as well, because they've been great when I've needed help, and I'd recommend them to anyone that's looking to get into printing. I think another thing that's gone really well has also been the personal touch. I've put little notes in with my prints and done little cards and signed them myself and numbered them myself, and I think people value that because they know I'm printing them here, they know I'm packaging them, and I think that's just a nice thing for people to have. If they were coming from elsewhere, if they were being printed by a third party, I'm not sure they'd carry that sort of same weight to them, and that personal touch has actually led to repeat orders from some customers. So talking about print labs, should I have outsourced this? Well, like with anything, there are pros and cons to outsourcing your printing to an external print lab. On the pros side, it probably would have cost me a lot less. The cost of the printer, the cost of the ink. I had to replace the ink earlier this year and I was staggered with how much the ink cost. Then there's the things like the issues I spoke about, the amount of time it takes me to package them, the different options that a lab can give with regard to frames and canvases and everything else. But then if I go to a lab, I lose control. I'm outsourcing quality. I've got no control over packaging, and it loses that personal touch that I actually think is really important. Plus, I already have this printer here, so it seems ridiculous to go and get stuff printed elsewhere. How that goes forward depends, I guess. It depends on what happens if orders suddenly take off and I've not got the time to fulfill them. I might have to look at different options. I just don't know. I can't ever see me pushing the marketing side of things more than I am doing at the moment, because I just want to focus on other stuff. My business has evolved as well over the past year, and I'm doing more work with photographers individually in terms of coaching and stuff like that. So printing isn't as much of a priority for me at the moment. So yeah, who knows what the future in terms of the print store will be. So who should and shouldn't set up a print store? I think most photographers dream of selling their prints to someone one day, and I get the temptation. That's what I wanted. But I think unless you've got a fairly large and loyal audience, you probably are going to be a bit disappointed with sales. I think that having a physical space is still the best way to sell photographic artwork. If you can get your prints in front of people's eyes, particularly if you are selling them in or close to the location that they were taken, that's got to be the best way to sell prints rather than trying to do it online, I think. Whether that be through a gallery or a pop-up store. Well, my friend Rhiannon recently had a load of success setting up a gallery in her own home and inviting people in to come and look at the prints there. People mentioned Etsy and Amazon in my comments to my last video, and it didn't seem like it would be worth the effort required to set all that up. I think one of the issues is most of the people that see my work are other photographers, and I think pretty much everyone that's bought a print off me has been another photographer as well. Trying to sell to the general public is different. They value things differently, and unless you are really well known, it can, certainly from looking at Etsy, seem like a bit of a race to the bottom, and that's just not something I want to get involved in, I don't think. Who is a print store not for? Well, anyone that wants to make a lot of money. There are much better ways of making money than setting up a print store. It's also not for anyone who is low on time, because this has taken a lot more of my time than I anticipated it would do. So to answer the question that you're all here to know the answer to, is it worth it? Honestly, it depends what you're after. Like I said, doing this has paid for my printer. I love printing my own work out, and this is essentially what it funds. I'm happy with that. I honestly am. I'm also happy knowing that some of my work is in the hands of other people across the world who I've got a connection with. So to me, yeah, it's been absolutely worth it, despite the sales. Would I like to make more money out of it? Of course I would, but I don't know if I've got the time available to be able to fulfill that extra demand. I think you've got to really think about why you want to do this, if you are thinking of doing it, and would you genuinely be happy with results similar to mine? It's great to get orders for prints randomly pop into my inbox. It's an absolutely awesome feeling. If you're interested in any of my prints, there is a discount available on them until the end of this month. If you want to get your hands on that discount, sign up to my newsletter in the link below and I'll email you the discount code. I'd love to know what you've learned from this video. Please let me know below, and whether it's made you want to try your hand at running a print store yourself, or maybe it's made you think that it's best avoided. Just a quick reminder, if you want to upgrade your workspace, use my discount code or click the link below for an extra 6% off from Vernal, where you've also got a chance of winning £500 worth of rewards. All the links are in the description below. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you want to know where this all started, you can watch my starting a print store video just here.